All right, are we ready?
Yes.
Maya? Okay.
I'm here.
Okay. In 5, 4, 3, 2.
Look at you. You made it. It's another episode of We Did That Shit.
I'm Maya.
And I'm Baby. We appreciate you, podcast family, and we hope your week was the shit. If this is your first time listening, welcome, and thank you for checking us out. Don't forget to subscribe to the show and follow us on all social media sites at We Did That Shit. Hey, Maya.
Hey.
What's up?
You know, I was just looking on my phone and somebody was sending me a message saying, I'm going to Food Truck Thursdays. Do you want to come?
That's a good friend. Yep.
No, I don't. I'm trying to not go.
I know you're trying to not go, but you do want to go.
Yeah, of course. Everybody wants to go to Food Truck anything.
I know that's right. Slap it on, too.
We always talking about food. It's crazy.
I know. You'd be like, was that
a Ritz? Woo!
Oh my goodness. And that's a shame because people know you be trying to get it together, trying to be slim and everything, and they be like, oh, what you, and then you tell them like, no, I'm working out, and they be like, oh
yeah, because like my friend who said it is slim, and she like, oh, I'm the weight I was before I had both of the babies. She got small kids too.
Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah, and I'm like, okay, you will be asking me if I want to go to Food Truck Thursdays. But that's cool. What's going on with you? How was your week?
You know, my week was good. So an apartment came up for rent in our neighborhood.
What?
Yeah, I'm really happy about that.
I'm kind of happy about that too, even though I still don't want Jiggy to move out. But if it's like in your neighborhood, that's cool.
Like literally right around the corner. Like I can run full speed and get there without being out of breath. Oh, so you know that's close.
Whoop, whoop.
Yeah,
that's
so
the one
we go see it on Saturday. Yes, we go, and I'm going with cash.
Okay.
Like, hey, how you doing? I want it.
Right.
I mean, as long as the kitchen and the bathroom is all right, you know. I'm
in?
Literally like, hey, how you doing? I want it. Yes.
Okay. Well, let me know.
So, you know, I will. You know, they say money talks in real estate, so I'm just going with
money
the cash.
talks in life.
Well, you know,
it sure
I just
has
don't
me
have no
saying
time
hello.
Oh my goodness! So who did some shit this week?
Child, it's so much stuff going on, but I wanted to talk about a couple things real quick. So you know, I live in Northern Virginia, right? And around the corner from me is the LA Fitness. So at the LA Fitness, they have pickup basketball games going on. You know what a pickup basketball game is, right?
Right.
Oh, okay. So,
I'm from the hood, yes.
Yeah, okay. So they got pickup basketball games going on all the time. Excuse me, I got tongue-tied. And it was a gentleman there in a pickup basketball game, a group of gentlemen. One of the gentlemen was black, the other one was white. They playing against each other. The black gentleman fouled the white guy. And instead of the white guy saying, damn, you fouled me, crazy, whatever, like they do in pickup basketball games, he called the cops.
What?
Yeah. Yes, he called the cops.
Ballin' while black?
Yes. You can't.
Now we got ballin' while black.
Girl, this stuff is becoming nonsense. So when the cops came, it was another guy that was filming it, you know, like on Snapchat or something like that. And he asked the cop, like, have you ever been called for a foul in a basketball game? He was like, no, this is the first time that this has ever happened. Can you believe, of all of the things that we've heard, you know, you can't sell waters, the kids can't sell waters, you can't barbecue, you can't
sit by your own pool.
Yeah, where you pay rent.
At your own residence.
You know, at your own residence. You can't do none of that. And now you can't even play basketball because you'll get the police called on you. And get this, when the police came and left, because of course it was nothing to happen, you know.
Right. What you gonna do?
Right. They went back to playing the basketball game. Like, why would you go back to playing the game with this dude that just called the cops on you for fouling him in a damn pickup basketball game where there are no rules? You make up your own rules. Why would you go back to playing a game with this man?
This is what I don't understand.
Everything.
I don't think, I mean, it may, prejudice and racism may have something to do with this, but this is definitely no shade to the intellectually disabled, but this guy has to be intellectually disabled.
Yeah.
Somebody had to tell him, like, you know how your mom say, don't let anybody touch you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, he must have been like, oh, this is what my mom was talking about.
Yeah, something.
You know what I mean? Like, he had to be disabled or something.
No, he wasn't disabled.
Something he had to be.
He wasn't disabled.
That's my
this
story.
Is just a sign
I'm
of
sticking
weakness.
to it.
The world today is weak. And it ain't just, we know that the white people is weak. They've been weak. But this is some weakness. You disabled, all right, in your manhood, being weak as hell, that you can't even take a hard foul that supposedly wasn't even a hard foul that you called the cops. Like, come on.
This sounds like intellectual disability to me.
Well, we gonna go with that.
Quite
then.
know what to do.
Yes, because I
mean, clearly, you can't even get your LeBron James on. You can't even be great.
Nothing.
Like, come on now.
Nothing. Listen.
You gotta defend. I mean, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, don't be out there playing hard basketball, y'all, because you don't know. Especially if you got the melanin in you gonna definitely get the cops called on you. This is an all-time new low, and here we are, 2018, people. But moving on from that,
I'm sticking with my thing. He needs to be in the Special Olympics and not pick up basketball. He's clearly has disabilities. That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
I'm rolling with you.
Who else did some shit?
So speaking of needing to be in the Special Olympics, Stevie J and Faith got married. Faith Evans and Stevie J got married.
That's nice. That's Biggie's wife, right?
Yes.
Okay.
First of all
right.
I tell y'all this in every
congratulations.
podcast. No,
okay.
Not no damn congratulations. I tell y'all this in every podcast, and I'm going to say it again. I can't drive this point home more than now. Don't do drugs. Do not do drugs. Drugs are not your friend. Don't do them. Because in the past, it has been alleged, we definitely say alleged, that Stevie J and Faith sniff coke. Something's going on.
Okay.
In the drug department.
Okay. For
Stevie J and Faith Evans to be getting married. Come on, man.
I mean, if they happy, yeah, I got congratulations. That's what I got. I got congratulations. Oh my God, look at you. That's what I got.
I was thinking about this and I was like, well, neither one of them need to stay in the country. So it ain't that. Stevie J is backed up in child support, but getting married don't take that away. So it ain't that. So the only other thing that I came up with is coke. That's it.
Well, you don't have to marry to sniff coke.
You don't, but when you sniff coke, you do crazy stuff.
Oh, okay.
That's what I'm saying.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. But I guess whatever floats your boat. Do you, boo?
You know what I mean? Meanwhile, it's me and you, boo.
Me and you. Well, it's going to be me and you if I got to marry somebody like Stevie J. And that's no shade, because I love me some Stevie J. But not like for the marrying type.
Me too,
but just
not like for the marrying.
Yeah,
that's
I just
right.
think that his antics is crazy and funny.
Right.
Okay. Moving on.
Don't let it be you, okay? Say
hell
no to
no.
drugs.
Hell no. Just say no.
Don't let it be you.
The Stevie J and coke. Listen. Moving on from that. Did you hear about, this is a little bit more serious. Did you hear about the daycare provider who hung the toddler in her basement from a noose?
What?
And was sentenced to probation?
Probation?
Mm-hmm. Probation.
Okay.
10 years probation.
What state was this in?
I think this was in Minnesota.
Minnesota. She hung the baby like a hanging, like execution by hanging.
Yes, like she hung him. It says in the article on USA Today that I was reading, it says that she hung him by the neck with a homemade noose in her basement in Minneapolis. The case is about the little boy who very well could have taken his last breath in the basement. He didn't die. You know, it's important to point out that he didn't die, but this lady got probation. She said that she didn't mean it.
What?
Yeah.
She didn't mean it.
Yes. She said that she didn't mean it.
When she was making the noose, what did she mean? When she was putting the noose around the baby's neck, what did she mean?
Exactly.
When she hung the baby, what did she mean? I am so confused.
Right.
What?
So her name was Natalia Carrera. She received 10 years probation on Monday for hanging a toddler in her daycare and running over two men with her minivan before attempting suicide. She was facing 13 years in prison. All the victims, and this is from back in November 2016. So the case is finally coming to court, where she was sentenced to the 10-year probation. And all of the people survived their injuries. The baby and the two men that she ran over, they all survived their injuries. But the fact that this woman
survived.
Right, this woman did not go to jail. Like, you leave your toddler in the hands of a daycare provider, you know, trusting these people with your most precious gift, which is your baby, and you go off to do your regular day's work or whatever you're doing, and then you come back and your baby is in a hospital because they was hung from a noose in a basement where you left them, and all you gave this woman was 10 years probation. And I know people who had a bag of freaking weed and got 7 years.
Got 10 years. Exactly. Not just that. Where is this baby's family?
Well, you mean in general, like where were they when this happened, or now that this is going on?
No, not they. Clearly, the baby was at the daycare.
Right.
But the minute she got 10 years probation, I'd have been like, I'm already at the courthouse. Mm-hmm. You can save money on probation. I mean, on transportation, transporting me back and forth.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Where is this baby's family? There is no way in the world. What?
And then they're trying to say
she'd have been found in a gutter somewhere, in any real hood, anywhere.
Right.
Even the suburbs, maybe. She'd have been found in a gutter somewhere. Ain't no way in the world.
Right. And she was saying that, a week before this happened, well, her family was saying in the court that a week before this happened, she told them that she was having suicidal thoughts and things of that nature. And my thing is this: if somebody in your family, your mother, your wife, or whomever told you that they was having suicidal thoughts, and the fact that you didn't say, oh, okay, well, then you don't need to be watching these kids, that speaks volumes as well. And so everybody all the way around
held accountable. Right.
Everybody all the way around has failed this family and this baby and these two men that she ran over. Because if she did something like this, then this ain't going to be the last time. And ain't no damn amount of probation. She need to be locked up underneath for the damn jail. Her family, for letting her still take care of the damn kids. Every damn body needs to be held accountable for something like this. And it's just goes to show you that it's so ridiculous the way that the quote unquote justice system is. It does not give real people justice. It doesn't.
It does not. And I'm sorry, mental illness is real.
Yeah.
But we do not do a good job at caring for the mentally ill in this country. And unfortunately, the prisons are full of people who have committed crimes in psychotic states, and she should be one of them. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Mm-hmm. So, but that just goes to show you it is a matter of where you live. Mm-hmm. Because listen to this shit. In Texas just executed, I think his name is Christopher Young. Okay. He got executed on Tuesday for, he killed a store owner in a robbery in 2004. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Now, first of all, I went to Houston. I had a great time. Houston was fun, but you couldn't pay me to live in Texas because they don't play when it comes to this death penalty thing. They be like, next. So they killed this young man. He was 34 years old. So that means he was 20 when he committed the crime. Right. And they gave him the death penalty. And he's only been on death row for 14 years. Now, you hear people being on death row for 25, 35, years. 40 years. All of this stuff. Yeah, not him. He was sentenced to death, and they executed him even though the victim's family petitioned the court to have his sentence commuted to life in prison.
Oh, really?
So even the family had forgiven him, talking about he was, even if you was a gangster, whatever, you're young and dumb and, you're doing dumb things. And I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to be in prison. That's not what I'm saying. But you see how quick they are to snatch a black man's life?
Of course they are. It's genocide against black people, and anybody, and I've said this in the past, and I'm going to continue to say that throughout the time that we are on this podcast. It's a genocide against black people. If you don't believe that, and if you don't see that, then you are absolutely 100% blind, because a blind man could see it. Calling the cops on anything, on us for anything, killing this man even when his family said no, just let him stay in jail. You know what I'm saying? If they could forgive him, then why the hell can't you? But here we go with the justice system again. That serves no justice. You know what I'm saying? You got a woman who almost killed a baby, very well, baby, with no problem, like you said, when they was making the noose, she was thinking about all of the things that her ass was getting ready to do. And then you got this man who made a decision. Don't get me wrong. He made a decision to do something, and he's paying for his crime, but you don't have no problem killing him. You ain't had no problem giving his ass the death penalty, and you only gave this woman probation. It just is what it is. They want us going, point blank period. When people call the cops on us, you don't think about the consequences that has on black people. You playing a pickup basketball game in a damn gym, you could have been executed with no problem. You know what I'm saying? But then you get ready to kill a baby and run over two other damn people, and it's like, well, I could just go home with my suicidal thoughts. Get the hell out of here.
Right. And she got probation, like no bracelet, no nothing.
Nothing. Exactly. And so, I just, it's ridiculous. But, prayers out to his family, because when things like that happen, two families are distraught. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is. And, I wanted to say something before I go into our last Who Did Some Shit. Yesterday, well, I don't know if it was yesterday, but July 18th, was Nelson Mandela's 100th birthday. Nelson Mandela would have been 100 years old on July 18th. Right. So happy birthday, Nelson Mandela. I just thought that was a good honorable mention.
Okay.
Yes.
I don't know about if I believe in saying happy birthday to the dead, but okay.
Well, I mean, it's it is what it is. It would have been his birthday, 100. And that's something to celebrate because his legacy still lives on. But last but not least, before we get off of this Who Did Some Shit, Charlemagne is all in the news. Charlemagne the guy is all in the news. So Charlemagne the guy is in the news because he is being accused of allegations of rape.
Right.
Right. So back in the 90s, it was like 20 years ago, he said that he threw a party and, you know, some things happened at the party, and allegedly a young girl at the party, who I think was like at 15 at the time, either 15 or 17 at the time, she was raped. And she's now coming out 20 years later and saying that it was Charlemagne who raped her. Now, this happened in South Carolina, where he is originally from. And South Carolina has decided not to pursue the charges. They said that there was no DNA found, none of Charlemagne's DNA or anything found. And so they're not pursuing the charges. The statute of limitation has exceeded the time, and they are not going forth with the charges. And so the young lady is moving on to now trying to pursue it in a different way. And I'm assuming civil instead of criminal, since they're not going to pick up, stating that her mother didn't want her to press charges back then. And Charlemagne told the story of this happening in a podcast. I don't know if it was I think it was his podcast, The Brilliant Idiots. I think it was his podcast back in 2015. He was talking to DJ Academics, and he, went over the story. And he said then it happened. He knew it happened. He had the party where, he admits that he was the one who threw the party, but he did not rape the girl. And so it goes back to this whole thing of like all these people coming out of the woodworks with Bill Cosby and Harvey Weinstein and all of this other kind of stuff. And so, it's the big thing about the Me Too movement. And Charlemagne has been very vocal when it comes down to the Me Too movement. I'm not victim shaming at all. I'm not saying that the girl is lying or anything like that. We don't know how long it takes for somebody to get over something to bring it back up or whatever. I just thought that it's always a little bit interesting to me when people do come back up with the stuff, because it makes me feel like, on one hand, do you, girl? If you feel like this happened to you, then pursue it. And then it makes me feel like, on the other hand, if Charlemagne the God wasn't Charlemagne the God, would you still pursue it? I don't know. We wasn't there. Charlemagne damn sure ain't denied that he knows that it happens. You know what I'm saying? He just is denying that he didn't do it, and he don't know who did it. You know what I'm saying? And maybe he does know who did it, because you know how it is in small towns. We from a small city. And so everybody know everybody, and everybody know what somebody else is doing. So I'm pretty sure he might know somebody who did it. We don't know. But, it's just like he's all over the blogs and the news and stuff like that now with this. So what's your thoughts on it?
I'm thinking, and this, I don't understand our rape culture. I really don't understand it, because as a woman, I feel like we always hold this shame. And it may have some historical traumatic influences of why we behave this way. Women feel shameful. They don't want to come forward. They don't want to, tell the whole truth because it makes them look bad. People victim shame. People don't believe you. It's hard to prove. Prior to DNA tests, it was your word against theirs and stuff like that.
Right.
And with all of that going on, and I really do understand that it may make it difficult. However, me personally, I'm just the kind of person where I'm never going to shut up.
Right.
I'm never going to shut up. I don't care what you say about me. I don't care what you think of me. I don't care what. I'm never going to shut up until I get some justice.
Right.
If something happened to me.
Right.
That's how I feel. So that's how I feel. So, one, Charlemagne gave this party. How old is Charlemagne?
At the time, I think he was...
Yeah.
I think Charlemagne is like early 30s. So,
Now?
Yeah, like now. He might be like No, I'm lying. He's 40.
Charlamagne is older.
Yeah. He's 40. My bad.
He's 40. So, okay, you 15 years old at the party. Like, I don't know. I wasn't the house party kind of chick. You like to going out when I was a teenager. That's number one. You know, you out here doing all this crazy stuff. Why? 2, where are your girlfriends? Because you damn sure shouldn't have been at the party by yourself. You should have somebody having your back talking about, no, we was in a room. Pookie came, then John. You know, somebody should be able to corroborate your story. Where are your girlfriends?
Right.
And, you know, and then you do have to question, does she want attention? Because now we live in a society where you can become famous for anything, even if it's only 30 seconds. Like, the next thing you know, you the best thing since Bubblicious Bubblegum.
Yeah, and I
You know
think
what I mean?
that's
Because
the big
if
problem.
a regular
too. Go ahead.
person... Right, I'm not saying it's right, but I'm just saying a regular person to come back 20 years later and accuse them, because like I said, if it was me, I would never shut up. Not from the first day. But for 20 years later, if you come back and say, you know, John Barley raped me 20 years ago, you know, oh well. You know what I mean? Nobody really looking for John Barley. Nobody knows John Barley. You don't know. It's not giving. What satisfaction are you getting?
Right.
You know, and your mom is saying that. So I don't know. And if Charlamagne says he didn't do it, like he didn't do it, you cannot. It's her word against his, which is probably always the difficult thing in a rape case.
Yeah, it is.
You know,
it is.
If you 15 years old, you don't know what's going on at this party, you don't know who's at this party, you don't have anybody corroborating your story. You know, it could be like 12 dudes in the hood that look like Charlamagne.
Right. I think that the days and times that we live in now is it's such a catch-22, because like you said, people want to get famous for anything, and so it's such a catch-22, because and we, you know, in no shape, form, or fashion are we saying that this didn't happen to this girl, because your truth is your truth. You know what I'm saying? Point blank, period.
Right, exactly.
However, it's very hard in this day and time for you to victims or not victims or whomever, you know, to be taken seriously just because of how it is today. You know what I'm saying? Everybody want to videotape you. They want to come out. They want to be famous. They don't want to put the work in. They just want to, you know, be known or whatever. It ain't even about no money. It's just more about the fame. So it's a catch-22 with all of it, you know. Charlamagne, you know, I mean, if you did it, then you need to be prosecuted for it. And if you didn't do it, then she need to be prosecuted for it, because don't just be making up people's lies like this that could damage somebody's life, her and him. You know what I'm saying? And that's just what it is, her and him. But listen, moving on from that, I got some other shit on my mind that I just needed to talk about before we wrap this thing up for the day.
What else is on your mind?
So you know how you get a Facebook memory and it comes on your timeline? So I was reading my memory, and I wrote a Facebook post back in 2016 about being desensitized. And as I was reading the memory, I was like, damn, not a lot has changed. So back in 2016, I wrote, desensitized. It makes someone less likely to feel shock or distress at scenes of cruelty, violence, or suffering by overexposure to such images. And I was saying, what happens when you are from a city that is killing at an alarming rate? When you know family, friends, strangers dying all the time? Then I said the madness has to stop. I am praying for family and friends today and always. I'm tired of getting calls, seeing faces, and hearing cries from life lost to these streets. Life is more than this. It's better than this. And I wrote that, like I said, in 2016. And the reason why I brought it up is because when I was reading it today, I was like, damn, yo, I wrote this in 2016 and the same exact sentiments stand today. And I thought the same exact thing because I was scrolling on Facebook yet again today, and I saw somebody else who had got murdered. And I'm like, damn, yo, like, here we go again. But I seen that, I looked at it, and then I just kept it moving like it wasn't nothing. And I went to the next post and went to the next post. And I was just thinking like, damn, yo.
You desensitize yourself.
Like, it's crazy. It really got me thinking how sad it is, how desensitized the society is, especially the youth. You know, we have become desensitized to violence, abuse, death, and trauma. And violence is already a tough topic for people to discuss, particularly because we are bombarded with it. Like, we see it all the time. Our response to the violence has become null and void. You know, and you get these reactions because stuff like school shootings happen, you know, Sandy Hook, Columbine, club shootings like Paulson, church shootings like Charleston, and they just keep happening. As soon as you start grieving or you like, damn, I can't believe that, it's the next one happening. So while you don't think about it, you think it's like unreal, you know, and I'm sure it is to some people. But I was just thinking about us, like where we from. We grew up around it, you know, we're from the inner cities. Like, it's really a sad reality, but it's our reality. You know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. And I agree. We really are. And when I say we, I really mean everybody.
Yes, everybody.
We are desensitized. Number one, you know, the news uses the sensationalism. So it's not like these things are new. It's just that we're more aware of it via the news, the radio, music, social media, you know, things like. So now we're more aware of what's going on everywhere.
Yes.
You know, and I remember being younger and always being afraid of things. Like, I was afraid of things that normal children should be afraid of.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, I was afraid because, you know, you're a kid and it's not normal. You know, it's not normal. And I remember as I was growing up, like in school, when I learned that standardized tests were created, were disproportionately created to outcast the children that are in urban neighborhoods, because these sentences that these definitions and these words, these are not things that we use in our everyday life.
Right.
We don't even know what half of those things are. So then they, you know, it's something for them to label us stupid.
Right.
To tell us that we can't learn, to tell us that we don't know anything, for them to make more prison cells so they can put our boys straight into the prison pipeline.
And our girls
you know
as
what
well.
I mean? So exactly. So all of these, and I learned this as a young person. I learned, you know, my uncle and my aunt were very street savvy. They were very street savvy. And my mom was too. She knew what was going on, but she just didn't partake the way they did. So whenever they came over, and they were over all the time, because my mom is like really, you know, she was real serious about her family. She didn't care what, you know, that's my people. So they were always at our house. But my mom, don't bring that shit in here.
Yeah.
Don't bring that shit in here. You know, and I remember, you know, my uncle getting into things. And then, you know, soon as he hit the corner where we lived, if he saw me and Tisha outside, he'd be like, yo, like, he would like kill you right there. Like, don't even think about, you know, bringing that stuff in this area. But it's just not like that anymore.
No, it's not. I listen, I grew up, well, you know, we cousins, so we know how we grew up, but you know, my mother and my father are very street savvy, you know. My father has been in and out of prison a large majority of my life, you know, and I remember my father and mom teaching me the game early. And when I mean the game, I don't mean like the drug game or anything like that. I mean game like street smarts, you know,
game.
Street game, what to do and what not to do. And it's crazy when I think about it, like you said, we were very young, but we had to learn those type of things very early on. You know, you had to have a hustler's mentality, really, you know. No, when you grow up and you grow up in the quote-unquote ghetto, what they like to call the ghetto, inner cities, you have to have that kind of mentality, because it's either like, for lack of a better term, it's like killed or be killed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gonna be the food or you gonna be the one eating the food. It's really like that.
It definitely is. It definitely is survival of the fittest.
Yeah.
It definitely is, but it's survival of the fittest on a different level because some people are more fit.
Yes.
And they even get out.
Yes.
They get out and then they don't function well if they have to come back or they don't want to come back.
Right.
So it's that kind of fit. And then it's the other kind of fit where, I'm the king of the jungle fit.
Yeah.
Like I'm right here, but I'm the fittest of the fit.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I don't leave the air. I don't leave the environment. So it is, and that's it is what it is. That's it, and that's exactly what it is. But we are desensitized for it, and I don't want people to think that we're making up a word.
No, we're
because
not.
we're not. So desensitization is a real word, and it really is a technique that psychologists and psychiatrists and other therapists they use to treat people with anxiety and like really high anxiety or have panic attacks and things like that because they have these triggers. Like you could be afraid of heights. So what they do is they give you a little bit, you get on the second floor, go on the balcony until you can feel a little calm, and then you go on the fourth floor and you go on the balcony until you're a little calm, and they work at it week after week, or however they do the therapy, they keep exposing you to it so you're less sensitive to it and it no longer causes you the stress or anxiety that it used to cause you.
Right.
And that's exactly what we are experiencing as a people.
Yes. Yes.
As a people everywhere. And not just people in the hood. It's also the people who live outside the hood but think that they live in the hood, and they want to listen to the trap music and they want to play the Grand Theft Auto video games, and they want to do all of those kind of things. It's them too.
Yeah.
Because they're over exposing themselves
to that kind of to violence and drugs and alcohol, but specifically, when I wrote the post, and the reason why I brought it up today is specifically to like us, you know what I'm saying, to people who are from where we're from, and
coming from where I'm from.
Yeah, people that are from where we're from, like ghettos, you know what I'm saying? And let's be clear. Right. Let's be very clear. Ghettos were
straight hood.
Yeah, and ghettos were created.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? They were created for us.
Absolutely.
They were created as a direct result from the beginning of the Great Migration. The Great Migration, for people who don't know, was a movement where more than like 1 million black people came from the rural southern states, and they came up to the northern states like between 1914 and 1940. And so they moved into cities like Chicago, New York, Philadelphia, Detroit, Washington, D.C., etc. And then the migration, it played an important role because it played the role because when they came up, they didn't have anywhere to go. So they went to these places, and they had to go for the like downtrodden, bad housing, because that's what they could afford.
They couldn't afford
anything
what I'm saying?
Else.
Exactly.
And the migration did a couple of things. Like, it helped highly educated African Americans obtain jobs and, things of that nature. But it also encounters significant forms of discrimination, because white people felt fear that their ability to, get these jobs and stuff like that was being taken away from them. And so a lot of the black people who wanted to move into different neighborhoods, and they wanted to go different places to like what we call now the suburbs and stuff like that, they weren't able to because of this. And they also encountered like widespread, housing discrimination. In a lot of neighborhoods, they wouldn't rent to black people. You still have neighborhoods in Texas like that right now where you can't sell your house if they know that a black person lived there. You gotta take down all your pictures, take down your painting, anything that looks like a black person could have lived there, because like people literally won't buy your houses. And that's what people were experiencing then. And then also the government used the rat experiment. Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, first of all, we still have that going on today. Not only will they not buy your house if they think a black person lived there, they also won't sell you a house if they think that the black family is going to move in.
Mm-hmm.
So, so we do go through that right now. But you're absolutely right about the rat experiment, because before they start building these projects in public housing, they did the experiments. They put rats in a maze, and they had the rats by themselves, and they offered the rats cheese, and the rats were living fine, and they were doing well, and they were thriving. And then what they started to do is they started to add more rats. Just keep putting more rats in the maze. And then what happened was the rats started fighting and scratching each other and killing each other, because they were fighting over, they learned that they were not just fighting over the cheese, but they were also fighting over the space and the area and being territorial. And they said, oh yeah, that's exactly what's going to happen. Let's build them. So that's when you have these high rises in these cities like Chicago and Detroit and New York, and they have these high rise buildings and rent control, and they're offering it to you like it's the best piece of pie that you're ever going to get. Exactly. And knowing they just want you to take care of yourself. And when I say take care of yourself, I don't mean in a good way. Like, you know what, they'll make themselves extinct.
Yes.
And they knew that when they built them. They knew exactly what was going to happen.
Exactly.
They knew it. Exactly.
They knew it. And then my thing is this: when you have people that are scratching to survive, to eat, to pay bills, to live, just to live, you are going to get violent. And like you said, they knew that. And, like I said, it was created that way. They want us to take each other out. They want us to be at odds. It takes the load off of them. They do it with mass incarceration. They do it with the police killing us. They're doing it with food, diseases that are only specific to mostly African Americans, And I was reading something today. And
even with our access to healthcare to get diseases treated.
Exactly. And I was reading something today, and it talked about, I should have wrote it down too, because I did not. I'm sorry, but I'll get it and let you know, because it was a really good article, and it was talking about the hood disease, and when they were talking about the hood disease, they specifically talked about the hood disease and PTSD, and post-traumatic stress disorder. That's what PTSD stands for, right? And so they were, when I was reading it, I was like, yo, I've been saying for so long that we got PTSD. People ask me all the time, why are you so private? Why don't you want people to know where you live? Why are you so cautious? You live in a nice neighborhood. I said, I don't live my life like that. I live my life like anybody could get me. Anybody is out to get me. Everybody. I don't trust damn body. And I surely don't trust walking out my door and being in La La Land because I live, quote unquote, in a nice ass neighborhood. Things happen in nice neighborhoods just like they happen in bad neighborhoods. But anyway, the article was talking all about the PTSD, and it was talking about how there are 4 types of PTSD. One was reliving the event. It's also called re-experiencing symptoms, The next one was avoiding situations that remind you of the event. The next one is negative changes in beliefs and feelings. And then the final one was feeling keyed up, also called hyper-arousal. And I was like, damn, when I'm in certain settings, I have all of that. Like, I have all of that, and it's because of being desensitized. It's because of when it's not normal to constantly know that somebody that is close to you. I don't mean like, pray, I pray for their families when school shootings happen and stuff like that. I'm talking about like JoJo from up the block that all your damn life.
Exactly.
I'm talking about my ex boyfriend who literally has lost all his friends. You know what I'm saying? Like, and when I say all his friends, I mean all his damn friends. He probably got 2 friends left in life. You know what I'm saying? Like, what kind of mentality do you think that a person like that is supposed to have? What kind of emotional state do you think that a person like that is supposed to have? Boys that's like his brothers that you literally no longer have around you. You know what I'm saying? People that you are close to. I mean, even us, we have experienced that in our own family. You know, anybody that has been listening to the podcast, you know that we are cousins, but we are close, more like sisters than cousins. And our family is like that. We grew up more like brother and sisters more than cousins. That's how close we are. And so, you know, we lost one of our own cousins to violence who was more like a brother. You know what I'm saying? And just... It hits close to home. And so when I'm talking about being desensitized, literally being like, damn, that happened, and then looking at the next funny thing or the next whatever, like it don't even matter, you know, it's something is wrong with that. That's not that's not normal, and everybody has it.
Right. And that's 2 very good points. One, everybody has it. And, you know, I said before that my best friend is the principal at a school in the city. And she has early childhood, kindergarten, the young ones. You know, they're like 3 to 6 years old in her school. She has about 500 students. And she says every single one of her students have been exposed to some kind of trauma.
Right.
In their every single one, and they respond or react in some kind of way that reflects the trauma that they were exposed to.
Right.
Every single one. So in a developing mind, it's even because you don't even know what's going on. Your mind is still developing. You learn how to learn between 0 and 5 years old.
Right.
That's when you learn how to learn. So it's not that you can't learn beyond 5 years old, but that's when you learn how you learn. So if you're an audio learner, that's when you know that you're that from 0 to 5 years. If you like to hear things, that's when you start developing that. If you need to do hands-on tactile things, that's when you learn how to learn between 0 and 5 years.
Right.
And all of her students, she said, has experienced some kind of trauma and suffers from some form of PTSD. The other thing you said that is very important, it's very sad, but the one other thing that you said is that this is not normal
At all.
It's not normal. What we experience in everyday life, growing up in the inner cities and things like that, it is not normal. And life outside of our environment, like when you go to college or when you get a job or whatever you do in adulthood, life does not accommodate, and they don't look to accommodate, and they don't care nothing about those experiences that you have or that PTSD that you have. They don't care anything about that.
No, and
and if we are desensitized, we also cannot have any empathy.
No, exactly.
And they don't have any empathy for us
at all.
So it makes it twice as hard for us to live.
It does.
I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry to even cut you off. I wanted to let you get your thought out, but I just was thinking, just piggybacking off of what you said, we really are kind of like the forgotten people. You know what I'm saying? And people think that it's just a hood disease. It's like they said in the article, and it's not just a hood disease. You know what I'm saying? They got that mentality like we should just get over it. We don't need help. We're used to this, using those kind of phrases. And I know for me, it makes me even mad to say it, and it makes me sad to think it. I am. That is how I am, and I don't want to be. I don't want to be desensitized, and I don't want to just get over it, and I don't want to just move on to the next thing. You know what I'm saying? That's not something that I want to do. We people, specifically in inner cities, in the hoods, we need help. You know what I'm saying? We definitely need help. These young people, like you said, all them young people that have experienced trauma, and the young people are more violent. Like these young kids that's out here today, they really have a don't give a fuck mentality. I have never seen.
That's true. That is very true.
When I remember when we was younger, and what I'm about to say is not condoning what I'm about to say. It's not, but I'm just going to say it because it is what it is. When we was younger, it was a code of ethics, even in the streets. You know what I'm saying? It really was. It wasn't no women, no children. You know, you wasn't shooting people in broad daylight. You know, and that's not to say that any of it is right, because it's not. It's like you said, it's not normal. However, it was that. Nowadays, there is nothing. It's like the wild, wild damn West. These kids, you know, it's from what they are experiencing from young ages. Like you said, 0 to 5 is when you learn. So if you ain't learning nothing but violence, domestic violence, you know, street violence, gun violence, if you're not learning anything, seeing anything, knowing anything different, then it's kind of like, what do we expect? But it's a shame.
Right. Dr. Irvin Parsons, he has his PhD in psychology, and he worked in the court system. He's a black man, and he worked in the court system for a long time. And he did his, I think he did his like dissertation on something he calls urban violence traumatic stress response syndrome.
Okay.
And he was saying, because he worked with a lot of juveniles that were assigned by the court. And he said it took him a long time because, you know, you had to establish a relationship with these clients and things like that. And he said the root of every single one was some kind of urban violent experience. They either witnessed it, participated in it, their parents did it, and this syndrome is their response to dealing with that trauma, what, you know, we call the PTSD. You know, this is how they respond to the PTSD. And he says some people will go the violent route, some people will go, you know, they lash out at other things, like they hit innate objects and things like that. But he said this is a very real thing, and he did this study back in the 90s, back in the early 90s, and got research from way back in the 70s. So it's really not a new thing
at all. But
you are so right. These young kids, they have no filter at all. None, zero, zilch. And it's crazy that you say, I mean, not crazy, but I really dig it what you're saying. Like, you know, I'm like that too. And I really felt like I was getting that way. But I took some steps my own self, because I never want to be I don't want to be desensitized. You know, if you are kindred with someone, when they hurt, you hurt.
Right.
You know, and I always want to be like respective of what somebody is going through. Now, you know, and if you're in leadership at my church, you have to take the leadership inventory, spiritual gifts inventory, like every 3 years. And I always score the lowest in empathy. I always score, that's my lowest score, is empathy. And I'm not very empathetic, but I'm not desensitized.
Well,
you know, I'm not, and I have taken steps. I know, I mean, you know, and a lot of people are, but I'm not as sensitive as I used to be.
Right.
You know, I'm not, but I'm not totally desensitized, and I've done purposely taken some steps.
What are some of the things? Because to be honest with you, I don't want to be either. I mean, I have empathy when certain things happen, but the fact that I can get over, you know, and it's not death. It's not like I could get over death. You know what I'm saying? Like, we lose people in our family. I'm sad to no end, you know what I'm saying? But when I hear about gun violence, or I hear about certain things, it's just like, damn, I could feel you, like, damn, but I can just keep on moving too. Like, well, same shit, different day. You understand what I'm saying? And I definitely don't want to do that. And then to help people even that's in my life, like I said, my ex, who I'm very much still friends with, for even stuff that he's going through, my brother who lost his 2 best friends, you know what I'm saying? Like, what is some of the things that we could do to counteract being desensitized?
Well, I mean, this is for me, and this is when I realized it. I realized that when my mother passed, I realized that every time I told somebody, oh, I'm sorry for your loss, you know, prior to my mother passing, yeah, I didn't mean that. I mean, I thought I did, but I didn't. I had no idea of what it meant to be sorry for somebody else's loss like that. I didn't. But when I lost my mother, like, when people would say that to me, I was just looking at them like, you can't possibly. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because I didn't realize the depth of the hurt, the trauma that I felt from losing my mother. I just, so that is what made me aware. So ever since my mother passed, when things happen to people and whatever my relationship is with that person, I feel more than I did before. It doesn't come out of my mouth. I don't say I'm sorry for your loss. I don't say that because it's not something that you can say.
Yeah.
But I think I more offer myself. You know what I mean? So the first thing you have to do is you have to realize that you're not sensitive to stuff.
Yeah.
Because if you don't realize that you're not sensitive, you'll never do anything to try to fix it.
Right.
And so when things happen, we can't, if you see something on your timeline, you can't just keep scrolling after you read the article. You need to stop what you're doing and really process what happened.
Yeah.
And if you're spiritual, say a prayer or something. And I'm not talking about hold it in.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about hold it in. I'm just saying take a minute and process what happened. But if you keep on going, that just increases your desensitization. Another thing you have to do is acknowledge your feelings. If you don't know, if you've never lost like this person has lost, acknowledge that.
Yeah.
I can't imagine what you feel like.
Yeah.
But I'm here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I can't imagine what that would be. If you need anything and I can help you, I'm happy to do it.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to be around because a lot of times people experience these traumas, just like you said, people that we know well. And then we don't see them until 8 months after. We didn't make it to town for the funeral.
Yeah.
We didn't go to the viewing.
Right.
We didn't send them. So you can't be sensitive if you're not in it.
And I think
what
that
I
it's
mean?
very important that, even just sitting here listening to you when things like this happen, after you acknowledge your feelings, grieve for it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
grieve exactly.
for it.
A
lot of people don't do that. And I know that I'm
Yes.
guilty of that 100%. You don't grieve until after the fact. You know what I'm saying?
You have,
When
and
it really
not
kinda
just
hits
for the
you.
person.
Yeah.
Yes, not just for the person, but for the situation, for the loss itself. Yes, you have to grieve. And you have to be who you are.
Yep.
Be who you are. Don't worry about what other people think. If it, like, a lot of people are like, oh, she around here acting like they was hanging out every day. So what?
Right.
Maybe that was her relationship in her mind or whatever. So what? Be who you are, and it's okay. Don't worry about what other people may think, or if somebody else says something like, "Why are you hanging around now?" and stuff like that. Don't worry about that kind of stuff.
Just know that I'm here.
Exactly.
And I also think that it's very important, and I need to do it for myself to make a conscious decision not to lose sensitivity. Like really make the conscious decision to say, you know what? It's not okay. It's not normal. It's not what it is. It's not what anything, really just make a conscious decision to say, like you said, that was messed up, and process it. You know what I'm saying? And before I just move on to the next thing.
Exactly. And just like you said, this all came up because of a Facebook memory. When you see other memories on the anniversaries of the dates, even before it comes up, if you remember, I don't care if it's 8 months out, it could be an odd date. It doesn't have to be a year anniversary. You can say, if you think about it, you can send somebody a card or a text message,
which I do a lot.
Just say, look.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I hope things are starting to settle down, but you're still in my prayers.
That's right.
I'm still thinking about you.
That's
I
right.
know that these things are going on. Because I think it's very important to apply actions to your decisions.
Yeah.
You can't just make decisions and not do anything. If desensitization is an issue for you, do something about it. You can, now everybody, some people want to march on Washington, and some people want to have sit-ins and hunger strikes. I'm personally not for the hunger strike, but silent protests or whatever. But whatever you choose to do something. Volunteer somewhere, or have a letter writing campaign, or do something. You cannot make decisions and say I want, and then don't put any action behind it.
They definitely speak
you
louder
can't do
than
that.
words. Yes.
You can't do that. And that's pretty much, that's all I have, because I can't think of anything else right now. And I'm just like as I'm saying it, I'm thinking of people that I know have been through some loss, and even some people who are going through right now with, illness of their parents and things like that. And that's difficult because I've been there too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It is.
So I just need to reach out to some people right now.
Yes.
I'm gonna reach out.
And I'm gonna do it. And I'm gonna do it with you because I feel myself getting to that point, and I don't want to be desensitized. And so this podcast really has made me think. It has made me think of what we go through in the cities, what you take out, who it makes you become, and I'm gonna do my best to try to be very conscious of that and not lose my sensitivity or be desensitized to the stuff that's going on in the world. And I mean that's all that we could do. Definitely, I want to tell you I love you. And
I love you too, Maya.
Yeah, stay on me about this. Stay on me about this, okay? And yeah, so let's go ahead and get on out of here because I think that nothing wraps it up better than me telling you that I love you and you telling you that you love me. And I hope that this podcast this week made you guys think too. Are you desensitized? Do you think that you're suffering from PTSD? If you are, seek help. These are real issues. They're real issues that people go through. We specifically talked about our issues coming from where we're from and how it affects us. Mm-hmm. But if it affects you in different ways, if you're suffering from any kind of mental anything, just reach out and get help. There are plenty of places that you could go. We talked about the lady earlier having suicidal thoughts. If that's you, reach out to somebody and reach out and get help. Try not to be desensitized because things is just going to keep on happening and we just gotta, push through them, acknowledge it and then push through them. So, remember that you can always follow us on social media. We are at We Did That Shit on all social media platforms. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Leave us some comments, y'all. I see y'all liking our posts and retweeting our episodes and all that other kind of stuff. And we definitely appreciate that. But talk to us, Let us know what you think and if you liking the show. You got something that you want We Did That Shit specifically to talk about. You can always send us an email with anything that you need to say at wedidthatshit at gmail.com. Again, it's one word, wedidthatshit at gmail.com. We really do appreciate you guys. We want to make sure that you subscribe to the podcast. You can listen to us on so many platforms now. We are on iTunes, Spotify, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox. I mean, you name it, we are there. So it's no excuse that you could go out and support the show. Just click that subscribe button and help us out. Remember, you can always follow me on my personal Twitter. It's my13. That's MYMY13.
And I'm at Babiamina. That's BIBBIAMINA.
Yeah, so follow us, y'all. Drop us a line or two. Rate the podcast. Subscribe, like, share the podcast as well. And we will be here same time next week. Remember, a new episode airs every Monday. So we'll see you then.
Show some sensitivity this week and be great. Do that shit.